The common theme between today's two films is bad parenting. They're both quite good and downright chilling at times, but no one should be getting parenting tips from either one of these two films. On the Third Day most likely slipped under the radar of a lot of horror fans this year. It's a really fun and stylistic modern giallo that takes the viewer to all kinds of surprising and diabolical places. This is M.L. Miller Fright's Best in Horror Countdown 2021 through 2022. Counting down the best in horror films released from October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022. According to me, M.L. Miller. Here we go. Number 27. On the Third Day was released on March 4th, 2022. It's streaming on Shudder. It's directed by Daniel de la Vega and written by Alberto Fasci and Gonzalo Ventura. A woman named Cecilia, played by Mariana Angileri, and her son Martin, played by Octavio Belmonte, are driving down a lonely road. On the opposite end of the road is a strange man named Enrique, played by Gerardo Romano, who gets an ominous call in the middle of the night asking him to transport a large crate to an undisclosed location. When both drivers are distracted by a hitchhiker, the two cars hit each other. Cecilia awakens 3 days later, not knowing what has happened, and spends the rest of the movie looking for her son and trying to piece together what happened during those 3 days. On the Third Day hit me at the right time. I had watched some stylistically and creatively bereft films, and when I popped this one into the player, I found myself enthralled with it from beginning to end. This Argentinian film encapsulates that special giallo feel exquisitely, incorporating a mystery-filled plot, gorgeous visuals, grisly acts, bumbling investigators, and a vivid color palette like the masters of the subgenre have done before it. It's most likely Daniel de la Vega has done his giallo homework. There are shades of everything from Suspiria to Don't Look Now to Nosferatu to Blood and Black Lace. These are classics in horror and giallo, and I know bringing them up in the same sentence as On the Third Day will offend some, but these are the films I thought of while watching this wonderful little movie. What makes the whole thing work is that we're trying to uncover the mystery along with our lead, Cecilia, who finds herself running in circles in search of her son. She seems to be remembering snippets, mostly due to a fantastic hypnosis sequence where she finds herself on the doorstep of a mesmerist. The scene occurs in the middle of On the Third Day, and it was right about that time where I recognized this to be the truly intriguing film that it turned out to be. It's an enthralling scene where the lights go out, save for Cecilia in a chair, and the mesmerist's hypnotic glare is highlighted against the darkness. But even down to costuming, there's a whole lot of retro giallo goodness in On the Third Day. Cecilia's vividly colored yellow coat and bright red shirt and Martin's red slicker are reminiscent of films like Don't Look Now and Alice Sweet Alice, among others. The similarities are undeniable, as Martin's ghostly form can be seen walking in the periphery and through mirrored images. The mirrored image is crucial in this film, representing a world that only Cecilia can understand and see, and holding secrets tied to her missing son and her memory lapse. By the halfway point, I kind of figured out what was going on, but I still love the ride to the end of On the Third Day, the climax of the film where Cecilia finally remembers those 3 days, and the harrowing things that occurred during them really do hit hard. The dramatic collision of all of the moving parts in this movie clang together in a beautifully violent disaster. Mariana Alighieri's Cecilia runs the gamut of emotions, taking her through the grief process as she realizes that her life will never be the same once she finds out about this missing time. For most of the movie, she's running around this timeless, dreamlike landscape without a clue, yet I found myself empathetic with her peril and along for the ride all the way. That's a pretty good indication that she's a good actress. The other standout is the grizzled Enrique, played by Gerardo Romano, who reminds me of the priest from last year's HBO religious horror series, 30 Coins. He's neither a good or bad guy, but manages to be both as this complex story unfolds. I'm going to be watching On the Third Day again soon, but my initial reaction when the wonderful film came to an end was, wow. This film is emotionally jarring. The effects are top-notch, and I'm talking about some great old-school practical effects. There are shocks and twists galore. This isn't a Hollywood movie at all. It's a movie that honors the rich past of Italian cinema and tells a terrifying tale through that lens. It's a movie that is truly unique and must be watched all the way through the credits, as more surprises await you there. I'd love to hear what you guys think of On the Third Day and recommend it wholeheartedly. The prequel to The Orphan really surprised me in taking the concept that made the original a cult classic and adding a new, fun twist to it. The Orphan, First Kill, was released on August 19th, 2022. It's streaming on Paramount+. It's directed by William Brent Bell and written by David Coggeshall, David Leslie Johnson-McGoldrick, and Alex Mace. 2009's Orphan was a surprisingly shocking little twist on the killer kid subgenre. It featured a breakout performance from Isabelle Fuhrman as a very creepy little girl with a very big secret. Now, in order to talk about today's film, Orphan First Kill, I'm going to have to venture into spoilers for the original Orphan. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it, then come back for this review of its prequel, Orphan First Kill. So you're back, and you've watched Orphan. Pretty twisted little flick, huh? Orphan First Kill is a prequel to Orphan, opening in a mental institution in Estonia where a newbie art therapist is assigned to Lena, played by a CGI de-aged Isabelle Fuhrman once again. Lena has dwarfism, and though she resembles a child of 10 years old, she's actually older than 30. With much of her life, before she was institutionalized, shrouded in mystery, Lena takes advantage of those fooled by her size and escapes. Fleeing to America and posing as Esther Albright, the missing daughter of Tricia and Alan Albright, played by Julia Stiles and Rossif Sutherland, respectively. The Albrights are a well-to-do family with a respectable lineage, with Trish acting as a philanthropist, socialite, and Alan spending most of the time in his studio making art. The couple seems overjoyed that their daughter, Esther, who has been missing for 4 years, has returned. But the longer she's back, the more suspicious Tricia becomes that this little girl isn't her daughter. In many ways, Orphan First Kill is structured in the same way the original was. There's the initial rush of having a new little girl as an addition to the family, and then the cracks begin to show in Esther's disguise. In the original, the twist reveal is what made the movie special, as Esther's adult-like behavior is explained when she turned out actually to be an adult in a child's body. Adding the perverse detail that Esther began crushing on Peter Sarsgaard's character was just the added squirm factor to make it distinct. Well, Orphan First Kill has a twist as well, and it's not what I expected, and it makes the movie just as fun as the original in all the same sick and twisted ways. Now, some might accuse this prequel as being too much like the original, but the difference in the twist and the over-the-top ending veers from the blueprint successfully. There are the same sequences where Tricia has suspicions about Esther, and the reveals of Esther's false teeth and other means to cover up her maturity are also gone through. But in the end, utilizing a lot of the same elements of twisted family dynamics, Orphan First Kill manages to be just as shocking and original as its predecessor. A lot of that has to do with Isabelle Fuhrman, who is actually 25, but de-aged through body doubles to look 10 years old. While not perfect, the de-aging is pretty solid, which basically smoothens out Fuhrman's skin and makes her eyes bigger. The rest is old-school camera trickery, where Esther is filmed from behind and at distances using a small child actor. The incorporation of both of these techniques really makes you believe Fuhrman is a child and highlights just how horrifying it is to see one do such awful things. Fuhrman's performance is consistent with the original, yet still manages to be fascinating. Stiles is also strong in the role of Tricia, which proves to be much more complex than what it first seems. There is quite a lot of blood in Orphan First Kill. No matter how Esther kills, she always manages to get blood spattered into her face. The startling juxtaposition of blood on someone who looks so innocent worked on me every time, but they might be guilty of going to that well a bit more than usual in this one. Fuhrman is a trooper of an actress, as this is a very physical role. Esther gets tossed around all over the place and keeps on kicking. Or maybe it's just Fuhrman's stunt double that deserves some of the accolades. While the first half of Orphan First Kill might feel familiar, by midpoint it evolves into its own unique monster. In many ways, the Orphan series reminds me a lot of the Stepfather series. Both examined the structure of the modern family, then turned that structure on its ear. It's about inviting someone into your home that you think you know, but it turns out they have a completely different, darker side under the surface. Isabel Fuhrman has made Esther a new and iconic slasher with a lot of thematic depth to explore. While this is meant to be a prequel, there still is a lot of mystery around what got Esther stuck in that institution she's in at the beginning of Orphan First Kill, and what happens after the tragic events of the first Orphan. I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but the Orphan series is based on a real-life story. You should look it up. It's pretty warped. There's a lot of strange shit that can be plumbed for future films from that story. I'd be game to see this series continue, as this prequel shows that not only is the technology there to keep Fuhrman as a murderous child, but the quality from original to prequel remained consistent. If the writing and direction continues this route as well, I'd be happy to see Esther return to cause more chaos and show that evil things come in small packages. As always, feel free to agree, disagree, or give me your own picks for your favorite horror movies. It's October, so let's talk horror. Come back tomorrow for the next level in the Best in Horror Countdown 2021 through 2022. Be sure to hit all of the pertinent bells and whistles down below, and you'll never miss a post. Happy Halloween, folks.